Hi, this is Firas.
Hey, this is Clemens, and welcome to this video where we will speak about the synergy of ENFP INTJ relationships.
Yes.
It can be romantic relationships or friendships, but
General,
essentially how these two types complement each other.
Yes, I think we should start with the fact that both types are top intuitives.
Yes. So even though INTJs and ENFPs only share one letter, actually, if you look at the functions, you'll notice, yes, like you say, they share the intuition.
Yes, but they do share the intuition, but it's a bit not the exact same thing. So with ENFPs, it's extroverted intuition, whereas with INTJs, it's introverted intuition. So do you want to talk a bit about that?
Yeah, sure. So the introverted intuition is actually more the internal processing of the world. It's taking in information through the sixth sense, like seeing patterns in your environment and imagining how these things they see will evolve over time, right? So they, based on what they see, they are imagining the future.
Yeah. And with whereas with extroverted intuition, it's a bit similar to that, except that quite often the scope is much wider. So introverted intuition can stick to one topic or kind of one theme for quite a bit, whereas with extroverted intuition, they kind of it's like trying to connect the dots between different things, so to speak.
Yes.
And it's also a bit quicker, though maybe sometimes not as in-depth as introverted intuition.
Yes, and I would also add to that actually extroverted intuition is a lot about trial and error. So seeing all the possibility and experiential learning, right?
Yes.
Like trying different possibilities and not only imagining the possibilities.
Yeah.
So I think in terms of INTJ ENFP relationship or that relationship dynamic, the INTJ kind of can leverage on the ENFP to take them out of their head sometimes.
Yes, exactly.
And get them to experience the world.
Yes.
Whereas INTJs, they can show ENFPs how their decisions will turn out over time. So like in terms of like analysis and evaluating certain actions and not having to do all the experiential knowledge or like experiencing things for themselves, but also like this imagining how things turn out and based on that taking decisions.
So when you talk about that, you're mainly referring to developing the ENFP's extroverted thinking, which is the third function, and which is the function primarily responsible for judging.
Yes.
ENFPs, yes.
So we could go to that. I think just to wrap up with the before we go to the third and second function, to wrap up about the intuition, I would say what is very interesting is that when I talk to an INTJ, I don't know how you feel about it, but that there is like this massive bubble of intuition then forming, so that it's the very quick understanding of each other. The conversation goes very fast in like in jumps, and you can get a lot of information across. It's like a very fast download sync process basically that is happening. So hence like that connection is very intellectually stimulating, I find.
So what I have with my INTJ friends, I think it's because we're both top intuitives, is that I see in them someone who can understand my frustration with the daily routine-like boring practicalities of life, and they see in me someone who can actually match their brainwave and kind of follow their thought processes and their line of logic.
Exactly.
You probably have the same thing.
Yes, definitely. And so the intuition, like we said, is a big connection. Then we have an interesting play together with the two types, with the second and third function. Would you like to elaborate that a bit?
Yeah, so you mean the second function of the INTJ?
Yes, and the ENFP and how they tie together with.
So the second function of the INTJ is extroverted thinking, and extroverted thinking is the third function for ENFPs. And what that really helps is that it means that both ENFPs and INTJs like to think, so they like to take ideas from their intuition and then see what can be applied to the world. So what's possible, so to speak.
Yes, so that is the extroverted thinking paired with the intuition.
Yeah.
The extroverted thinking is very much application oriented, so it is narrowing things down, narrowing ideas down, building systems around that to achieve a specific outcome.
Yeah.
And I would say INTJs help ENFPs to develop that function, because for
Definitely.
INTJs it is the second function, the extroverted thinking,
Yes.
whereas for ENFPs it is the third function. So the great thing I find about INTJs is that they understand my ideas very quickly because of the intuition,
Yeah.
and then they can help me to put that into an applicable process where I sometimes jump to conclusions, or they kind of help me to narrow things down in a way that is actually realistic quite often.
Yeah, because their extroverted thinking is stronger than ours.
Yes, exactly. And especially I think I experience that, like, as you progress in life, our third functions get stronger, and eventually
Sure.
our fourth as well. So especially as you get into your 30s, this is becoming very valuable, I think.
Yeah.
And yeah.
So I think now we should move to the third function, which is introverted feeling in the case of INTJ, and then introverted feeling is then the second function for ENFPs. And I think that's probably one of the main, so besides top intuition and extroverted thinking, that's another main point with regards to the synergy between ENFPs and INTJ, because there's that empathetic connection, so to speak.
Yes, and I would say that ENFPs are naturally people. They
Yeah.
have the extroverted intuition and then the feeling as the second function.
Yes.
So that makes them actually drawn to people very much. And I would say that INTJs can help ENFPs a lot with sorting out priorities and career decisions and stuff like that, because of the application-oriented thinking.
Mm-hmm.
And I would say ENFPs can help INTJs a lot to get out of their shell,
Yes.
because of the feeling.
Yes, definitely. Also because of the extroversion. Because
Yes.
with me, for example, it happens with a couple of INTJs when there is like a big social event and there are very few people there who they know. They prefer to take me instead of like other extroverted types with them, because that way they kind of have their synergetic connection, if you want. So they can always talk with you when we're in that place. They can always do something with you, and then the ENFP can sort of be like the INTJ's connection with the social environment. You know, the ENFP can try start socializing, blending in, and then tagging the INTJ along with him, and then helping him meet different people.
Yeah, so I think that is so that is the connection where INTJs leverage most and can on ENFP relationships, and can actually use that to develop their introverted feeling, because again they often, like, INTJs would ask questions or wouldn't be so clear with social interactions, and an ENFP would be able to explain to them or show to them like the benefits of certain social scenarios. And even though you could criticize them, these scenarios as being meaningless or something like that, we are all social beings and we want to connect, right? So
there's also one more remark I have in that regards. So INTJs can sometimes be perceived as a bit too cold or calculating, and I've noticed that with me and with you and several other ENFPs, we don't actually perceive INTJs to be cold at all. That might be because we can understand their introverted feeling function, which is what we have.
Yes.
But also probably because of the intuition, we can kind of see beyond their their notorious duster, you know, and to look into their souls, if you want to say. I don't know, but you get my point.
Yes.
Yeah.
So, and I think I think this is a good transition now to the fourth function, because I think most people, I mean, especially when they're not dominant intuitives, they pick up a lot of visual cues from people,
physical as well,
and with INTJs they have that non-reactive face very often, and that blank face, or that how it looks like from a just physical point of view.
A sensory point of view.
Yes, a sensory point of view, and I think that's what intimidates some people if they are more sensory. But because like
ENFPs can easily look beyond it.
Because like we don't, like, sensing is our underdeveloped function.
True.
So we don't pick up on it so quickly. INTJs have sensing as their last function. It's again, the ENFPs have introverted sensing, INTJs have extroverted sensing.
And they're both repressed, to point out.
Yes.
In both functions.
Yes. So they are not so consciously aware of those. I think they become more consciously aware of it over life. Generally, I would say it's both types don't like mindless routine tasks.
Exactly.
Really.
Yeah.
Anything that doesn't work towards a bigger picture, routine in that regard is draining to both.
I think we forgot to mention that they both adore delving into new ideas and making new plans.
Yes.
I think that was in the top intuition part.
Yes,
Yeah.
probably yes. And so with the sensing, it's all about arbitrary daily routine tasks that ENFPs and INTJs don't like. Also, social norms and conventions. That is something that both find very draining.
Yeah, whereas with intuition, it's like possible scenarios through the sixth sense or...
Yes,
Yeah.
so I think, to wrap up, it's really like this top intuitive connection, this complementing extroverted intuition with introverted intuition, and
Introverted feeling.
experiencing life versus envisioning life and leveraging on each other's strengths because of that.
Yes, right.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.